Rotich. I am the president of KESA, and I'm so thankful that all of you made time to be here this evening to listen to our students. You know, we're in the midst of two pandemics, actually COVID-19, and I was in a session the other day and they called what is going on police brutality, they called it COVID-16-19. If you go to the history of what happened in the US in 1619, so we're in the midst of COVID-19 and COVID-16-19. So we wanted to take time to listen to our students, to find out what is going on, and especially part of KESA is we mentor our students. So we want to see what we can do as a community, as a people, as a team of scholars, together. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce the panelists. We also have Ms. Ann Jaffe, who is on our panel, who is on our board as the representative of the student organization, or the students, graduate students, undergraduate of all the students affairs. She sits on the advisory governing council of KESA. Without further ado, I'm going to hand over to our wonderful, wonderful greatest representative, Ms. Ann Jaffe, and she'll take over from there. Welcome, Ann.
Thank you for that. Welcome everybody to this interesting session. It should be interesting. My name is Ann again. I'm a third-year PhD student in North Carolina State University. I study communication, rhetoric, and digital media. As a technology researcher and I'm an emerging social scientist, I'm interested in understanding how digital cultures made in the West are exported to the global South, how they're being used in these other places where they were not manufactured. So I'm taking an interdisciplinary approach that draws from cultural anthropology, digital political economy, and other things related to communication, such as innovation and development technology. So that's just a short snapshot of who I am. My other panelists who are students, and they're going to have a chance to introduce themselves, are Gilbert, Peggy, Gideon, Moffat, and Stanley. So quickly, we're going to start in that order. If you can quickly introduce yourself, tell us where you're from in Kenya, tell us what you're currently doing in the US, and what were you doing before you came to the US. Over to you, please.
Okay, I'll go first. I'm Makomere Gilbert, master's student at Oklahoma State University. I came in last year. This is I'm going to my second year from fall. A student in human development and family science. My concentration is gerontology. That's the study of the aging process in mentally, physically, and sociologically. I'm from Kakamega County. Before I came in, I was working with Kakamega County. I'm glad to be here and happy to see everyone here. I hope we'll have a good time as we go on.
Thank you, Gilbert. Let's have Peggy introduce herself, please.
My name is Peggy Thayo, and I just graduated from Ohio University in May. I was pursuing a master's program in international development, and because I'm passionate about development. Prior to coming to the USA, I was a teacher in Kenya. I taught in Malindi, Barani High School, and I also happened to come in 2017 to the USA under the Fulbright Learning Teaching Assistantship Program. Is the exchange program whereby you come to the US to teach Swahili. So that's when I came to the USA. And then after the one-year program, I then applied for master's. And then that is when I just completed the master's program. So I'm happy to be here, and all of you are welcome. So.
Thank you, Peggy. Let's have Gideon Kimutai.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gideon Kimutai. I'm from Eldoret, Kenya, and I study at Missouri Southern State University in Joplin. I study computer information systems, and I've been passionate about technology. That's why I'm in that field. Prior to coming to the US, I was at the University of Eldoret. I was doing a bachelor's degree and applied statistics. And I'm also a track and field athlete. I'm here on athletic scholarship. I came in this, I'm almost 2 years old in the US. Thank you.
Oh, very good, Gideon. Next in line is Moffat Juma.
My name is Moffat Juma. I graduated from Youngstown State University in May with a master's in chemistry. Looking forward to joining my PhD program at University of Alabama at Birmingham. Prior to coming to the US, I was a teacher in Kisii County, where I taught for 5 years at a school known as Kenyoro Secondary School. Thank you for the opportunity. Looking forward to a great discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Moffat. And last but not least, we have Stanley Melly. Please take over.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Stanley Melly. I come from Ziwa, that is Eldoret in Uasin Gishu County. I came here in 2014 to the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. I was a track athlete, and I graduated with a bachelor's in agribusiness, and currently I'm doing a master's in agricultural economics at the same university, that is at the University of Maryland Eastern Shore. Before coming to US, I came to US immediately after high school, so actually I didn't do much before I came here. Thank you.
Thank you, Stanley. That was a beautiful introduction from all of us. To our first question, first I'd like to say that the very first set of questions we are going to have everybody attempt, or rather give their opinion or their experience during this COVID-19 session or experience that we've had. But after that, I'll start handpicking so that at least we're able to manage time and also answer all the questions. But if you feel that you're not comfortable answering any question, feel free to pass it over to the next person. But I just think everyone will have something to say. These are interesting questions. I look forward, I'm excited. So first question is, describe how you felt near the start of the spring semester when news about COVID-19 started emerging from China, and when the first case was reported in the US on Jan 20th in the state of Washington. Peggy, would you like to go first?
Okay, thank you so much. Let me handle the first part of the question, whereby you asked what was my reaction when the first case was reported in Asia, that's in Wuhan. Actually, life was normal. Apparently on my side, I thought, this virus is from China. I'm sorry about that. But that is what my intention was at first. And I was like, okay, it is not going to come to the USA. And so life was going on as usual. Everything was okay. But then I remember when the first case was reported in Washington, that is Seattle. And I was like, okay, this thing has come home. And I was like, I never knew that it will come this far at the doorstep. It hits you hard when something is closer home to you. So I remember we had gone for the spring break, I think. And a friend of mine had taken a road trip to Washington. We were going to renew our passports at the Washington DC, at the Washington Embassy, the Kenyan Embassy, in Washington DC. So by the time we went there, everything was just fine, and we were like, okay, it's not gonna come here, it's not gonna affect us, And apparently at the back of mind, it was like, hey, this is the United States of America, everything is going to be controlled. And little did we know. And then we started receiving emails, from school. Apparently they were saying, if you go for spring break, if you've traveled, please don't come back. And the classes are going to go online. And then you're like, okay, what's happening? And then lockdown came. They were like, stay at home order. And you're like, okay, so this is home. And then so everything was so fast. Like processing everything was just hard. And it was just one thing after the other. And apparently, USA had reported a lot of cases of COVID. And so just to sum up, it was just different. Like, I didn't know that it was going to hit this bad.
Right. Yeah, that's a good start. Anyone else wants to go next?
I'll go next. For me, the university I study in, it's considered one of the safest places you can study in US, considering also that is rated. Considering also is one of the players that diversity is a touch up higher for them. So when this came in, being the safest place for students to study in, it was a concern for everyone. I had a meeting with my advisor, whom we are discussing on several ways we'll carry on with our project, and we anticipated what happened because for him, we had 1 week to spring break, and already the university had hinted to us that they will not take any chances us going to spring break, that we may go to spring break, but coming back will be delayed based on assessment that will be done. Because the federal state had not taken any steps towards containing the virus as it had been announced in China, because we have students from China who we study with, and to them, based on the information they had from home, they had already started using masks, and that one alarmed people in school. So people started asking themselves, why is it that they are using masks and like everyone is not concerned in US? So for us, for me, we anticipated this was going to happen. So when we went to spring break, we were sure we are not coming back.
I want to go next. Yeah, so I like to say that my experience was a bit of panic, having been a finalist student, and we had gone for the spring break, and during that break, we had an extension for like 3 weeks, where the university was trying to move from the face-to-face mode of learning to the virtual mode of learning. So that really impacted us as like me as a finalist, because my research could not go on. When now we're trying to visit like stores for food and groceries, most of the shelves were empty, you know. So it was really a big challenge. But after a couple of days, like 3 weeks, we were able to move to the virtual mode, which was able to handle the remaining part of the semester and be able to do now the research through theoretical modeling. And through the support of the school and the advisors, we were able to finish in record time. And all in all, we got a refund of the given funds we had paid for research. So it was a big panic for us at the beginning, but at the end of it all, it proved to be an opportunity for us to learn something new. That was learning through the virtual mode. Thank you.
I'd like to go first. Okay. So when we heard about the pandemic cropping up in China, to me, I didn't think it would be a big issue, and life was just going on as normal. And we were about to go to spring break. We were having our indoor season going on, and so it came a time when we were on spring break, and suddenly we just got communication that we might not come back after spring break, or our spring break could be a bit longer. And that's when now I realized that this thing is getting serious, and I didn't think to get this far. As I thought it was, I didn't have any much information about the virus and everything. I thought it was just a mild flu and it will be contained in China before it gets out there. And once we got that communication, like, we won't be able to come back. Our classes might be shifted to be online and all that stuff. That's when I realized, okay, these things, pretty serious.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Stanley, what do you have to say?
So on my side, I can say at the beginning, I think it wasn't a big issue because life was normal. We were just going on with our businesses. But again, most of the students in my class, because we are doing in my field, we are only like, I think 5 master students. So we started discussing on what to do, because most of our professors too are from these Middle East countries, like Korea, India, Taiwan. So we discussed, we were like, to reduce and minimize the risks, I think we better start doing our classes online. So even before they started the virtual learning system, we were already doing our classes online. So I think that kind of helped us to, get used to the system.
It's interesting that you say, Stanley says that this is US and they should be able to handle, right? Which is the same statement that I said, the virus is in China and China should be able to handle the virus. So all these are stereotypes and also things that we tend to think about countries. So for me, this has been a learning experience in terms of what do we expect from even first world countries, the superpowers. So this pandemic is big, and fortunately, Africa is not as affected, but that's a discussion for another different day. I don't want to bring it up or digress too much. Going on to a second question, but some of you have already touched on it. So let's quickly do this one. How has COVID-19 impacted your studies and research and life in America? Who would like to go first? Some of you have already touched on it, but we can quickly brush through on some issues that I think haven't come up. Let me repeat the question. How has COVID-19 impacted your studies and research and life in general in the United States of America?
I'll go first. COVID-19, to be sure, it has interrupted, it has brought around uncertainty. In terms of studies, of course, we moved online for the remaining part of the spring semester. It was not an easy thing because we had not anticipated that we'll have to. Something new, like the Zooming, doing classes through Zoom, I believe for most of us, it was like a new thing to us. We have done conferences on Zoom. We have seen people presenting their theses on Zoom. So for me, the study interrupted me in like many ways. I managed to finish my semester in peace, but there are 2 classes I picked for summer classes, and I had to drop like statistics. Because to me, I felt these are classes that I needed more interaction for me to manage or to manage it on, because doing pre-recorded videos where you go through, and then for us, it was scaled to 1 month exam per week. So if you don't get it, because statistics are build up class, so if you don't get it this week, next week you'll have problems getting it. So for me, it was so hard. In terms of research, I had to change even my topic that I intended to start with, because after discussing with my advisor, we saw it good to change, to factor in COVID-19, because in my area, COVID-19 has really interrupted everything. Where the old people are, they have closed the places, their lives have been interrupted. Things are now new to them. They have a new norm to them. So I have to change my topic of research so that I see if I can study how this COVID-19 has affected their lives.
Thank you for taking a deep dive into the new norm, which I believe all of us have a story to tell. That was a very good summary, actually, of, I believe the story is synonymous to all of us. So without further ado, I think I'd like to go into the next question. And this one, I'd like Gideon to respond to us as the first person. Looking ahead, what are some of the challenges you're facing as an international student in the US during this pandemic? So this might sound the same as the previous question that we have tackled, but it's not really the same, because there are some issues that have not been brought about, and we are all unique. So Gideon, you probably would start with your story, and then we move on to Stanley and then Peggy.
Thank you. we have a large number of challenges we are going through, and if we decide to spare all of them, we might not be able to, finish up. So, being an international student here in the US, our hands are some outside, and what we're experiencing now is a lot, especially in terms of upkeep, and all of that. For example, I'll just use my example. I'm on athletic scholarship, and they pay for my stay here, from tuition, housing, and everything. And due to this coronavirus thing, campuses have gone into losses. And what I have heard is that they are cutting down their budgets. And people like us who depend on full scholarship because we can't afford to pay for ourselves will be somehow affected because we are facing reduction in that scholarship. And I don't think we qualify for grants here in the US because we are international students.
Thank you so much for that. Indeed, financial issues are thorny issues that we are all going through as international students, and especially during summer. There's also wavering of school fees, as you say. Most of us are on scholarships or graduate assistantships. So there's a lot of uncertainty for sure towards the end of, as we go on with this pandemic, we do not know. And for me, I think my biggest issue is uncertainties, the fact that we have no idea what will come, even just in the fall semester, and also in terms of life here in the US. If any one of us was to contract coronavirus as an international student, where we probably do not have very good medical insurance, and even if we have medical insurance, we do not know how much of it will be paid by the medical insurance company. So there's definitely a lot of uncertainties. Personally, I'm supposed to be sitting for my comprehensive exams in the fall semester. I don't know if that is going to happen or not, but currently I lack motivation to study for anything, because sometimes I actually feel like it's the end of the world. Maybe I'm paranoid, but who knows? Stanley, quickly take us through anything that Gideon might not have mentioned.
I think Gideon has touched most of the stuff. So maybe I can touch on employment. Due to the nature of our visas, like the F1 students mostly, we were only allowed to work on campus. And so with this kind of pandemic, it has reduced the number of opportunities. So currently, I think most of the students are out of work, they are unemployed. And this is even increasing the pressure on these students because, one, some of these students are dependents, like their families depend on them. And, the pressure, somebody is asking you, oh, I need this. The family is also asking you, can you do this for us, But they don't understand that at this time, some schools, when schools were closed, some jobs and employment opportunities were also closed. So for my case, I think when school was closed, one of the professors, I used to work for one of the professors, so we had to terminate the contract because we were not able to, to work online because the nature of work involves physical, job. Secondly, the issue of social isolation. I know personally, I like sports. I like being out there, I'm an outdoor person. So with this corona, it has restricted me to being indoors. And this is one of the things I'm not passionate about. So I think, but on the positive side, this corona has taught us to be, how to utilize all the opportunities that we have, how to, how to take life, that life is precious, I think we've been taking life for granted. We've been taking opportunities that we have for granted. But I think now we are realizing that, okay, life, when you're alive, when you're okay, when you're healthy, you have to thank God. We have to appreciate the nature and the beauty of life.
Thank you for that. I like the fact that you've actually brought up the positive side of COVID, because in as much as we've had a horrible experience, I believe we've had also positive experiences that all of us will be able to share right after Peggy tells us what her experience has been in terms of challenges.
Okay, thank you so much. I will begin by touching on the issue of internships. A lot of international students had summer internships, and they're mostly paid for, paid summer internships. So that is the only avenue that international students get to get some coin in their pockets. They work during the summer. So most of my friends who had gotten the summer internships, they were canceled, and that has made them stay at home, no source of income, because during the summer you don't work on campus. So that has been a really great challenge. Another thing also, I'm talking on behalf of the international students who just graduated and they're going for their OPTs. Getting jobs is going to be a little bit tricky because most Americans have lost their jobs actually. And here in this country, it's Americans first and then other people later. So owing to the fact that most Americans have lost their jobs, what about international students who come, international foreign people who come next? Like what is going to happen? So it's really a little bit tricky, owing to the fact that OPT gives you 3 months to make sure that you get an employment, so that you report that you have something you're working on. But look at this lockdown, look at everything is online, look at the layoffs and everything. So it's going to be tricky for a lot of international students on OPT. So those are really things that worry me a lot and have been quite challenging. Another thing also on the issue of research, I know most of my friends who had IRB approval, they're supposed to travel to their home countries to carry out their research in their various countries. So when this travel ban came after COVID, they weren't able to travel. They couldn't go anywhere. So you found that most of them have ended up changing either their topics or opting for other methods of data collection. And specifically, I know a friend of mine who decided to opt out of a thesis, and she went into like a professional paper. So she used secondary data methods of collection. And that is going to affect her study. And just generally, when she came here, she knew, I wanted to work on this. I wanted to focus on this. But no one knew COVID will happen. So once it hit, look at what happened. So those are some of the things that were quite challenging too.
But this session, I think we're going to close it right now. Thank you, Dr. Manyara. Dr. Manyara is also on the advisory board. I think I forgot to introduce him. Thank you, everybody. Thank you to our wonderful, wonderful students. Ann Jyoti, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of all the students. We're here to support you. It's funny because I was talking to Ann's son today, and we had a problem, and I said, listen, I'm going to take you out to lunch. So we're family, we take care of each other. So tell my boy I'm going to come get him tomorrow. I can take care of him. So thank you so much. We're going to close. Patrick, you can close the video and shoot it over to